Yo, plant-based buddies, a happy Thursday. Um, I wanted to talk about superfoods today because I'm gonna tell you a secret. They don't exist. Now, superfood is a super trendy term, and I've used it before, so I don't want to sound hypocritical. But superfood is a term that's largely abused. Now, keep in mind that we've probably never even defined the word superfood. And the way to define it likely is a food that has some type of magical property that provides extra health benefits not seen in other foods. Now, if that's the definition that we decide to use, I think that a lot of foods can be called superfoods. We know that broccoli contains sulforaphane, which delays growth of cancer. We know that populations that eat more legumes like beans, chickpeas, and lentils live longer. We know that populations that eat a handful of nuts 2 to 3 times per week live longer. We know that people who eat whole grains have less cardiovascular disease and live longer. Fruits and vegetables are correlated with longevity and reduced risk of chronic disease. So I think all of these can be called superfoods. So if you're looking at foods that are associated with increased health and lowered parameters of disease and metabolic disease and cancer risk, allergies, cardiovascular disease, neurodegenerative disease, you would find nuts and seeds, whole grains, legumes, fruits and veggies, soy products. You would basically find a plant-based diet. Now, a lot of foods are neutral or harmful. In terms of harmful, I would probably put processed foods, ultra-processed foods, red meats and processed meats. In terms of neutral, probably I would put white meat, eggs and dairy. Neutral in general, they do have, certain specific foods are associated with certain specific negative outcomes. Milk has been associated with reduced rates of colon cancer due to its calcium content, but increased rates of prostate cancer, probably due to the high IGF-1 content. That probably balances out and makes it a neutral food. But if you're at higher risk for a specific condition, that's probably foods that you want to stay away from. Now, that being said, when you hear superfood, you'll often hear about the acai berry that has magical properties. Oh, now, just keep in mind that superfoods, there are no single foods that will lead to optimal health. What we should be talking about are super meals, or super plates, or even super dietary patterns. Now, a dietary pattern sustained over time is what will lead to optimal health. You can have cake and ultra-processed foods and red meat and processed meats once in a while and still have optimal health because your overall dietary pattern is healthy. Now, once in a while probably means once or twice a month, in quantities so small that they don't negatively impact your health. The issue is we eat 60% of our daily calories from processed and ultra-processed foods, 60% of our daily calories. So that means that 60% of our monthly calories are processed, right? So that's why that eating one piece of broccoli is not once a month is not going to make you healthy, and much in the same way eating one piece of cake a month is not going to make you unhealthy. Now, I'm not talking about weight here. I'm talking about purely about inflammation and health, right? So just kind of keep that in mind. I personally choose to eat 100% plant-based because I believe in the other causes, which is climate and health and the animals. But you can eat a plant predominant diet and be super healthy. But just kind of keep in mind that superfoods are super trendy and are used often to sell you something, sell you a lifestyle, sell you a book, sell you a supplement. Um, but science really doesn't support that they really exist. Now, have a look at the ANDI score, the Aggregate Nutrient Density Index, ANDI. It's an interesting tool that kind of lists the hierarchy of nutrient density in certain types of foods, meaning that it will give you a certain list of foods that are more nutrient dense than others. I'll give you an example. If you're going to be eating iceberg lettuce, which is typically a health food, and comparing it to kale or spinach, typically kale or spinach have much more nutrient density than a iceberg lettuce, which is mostly water and is nutrient poor. That doesn't make necessarily one healthier than the other. It makes one more nutrient dense than the other. And it's what you're going to be doing over time that's going to predict health. Now, you can eat kale and spinach all day and still be unhealthy. And you can eat cake once a week or once a day and chocolate every meal and still have an overall healthy dietary pattern. So I just wanted to make sure to address that whole concept of superfoods because I see that term used and abused. Now, I've used that term myself to talk about nutritional yeast or to talk about certain spices like turmeric or to talk about nuts or talk about flax seeds. Now, what we know is that eating flax seeds once every 2 weeks is not going to improve your health markers by any means. You have to treat food as a medicine. Using blood pressure pills once every 2 weeks is not going to lower your blood pressure over time, just in the same way as eating healthy once every few weeks is not going to make you healthy. It's using food as medicine, and food used as medicine is used 1 to 3 times per day, every single day. The goal is to be compliant over time and to embark on whatever dietary pattern you want to journey to keep it stable and sustainable over the long term. So that's why that even if I eat a 100% whole food plant-based diet, I do understand that a lot of people will find that a little bit far from the goal that they want to strive for. But just being better than you are today is going to improve your health. Now, I've already said this before, but health correlates with 2 things, and that's number 1, the amount of exercise you do. VO2 max, a marker of cardiorespiratory fitness, correlates perfectly with your longevity. So the more in shape that you are in terms of your cardiorespiratory fitness, the longer you live. And the same thing goes for the amount of percentage of your calories that you're obtaining through whole food and whole plants. So simple thing would be move more, eat more plants, eat less processed foods, eat less red and processed meats. And just by doing that alone, you're going to reap much of the benefits of that nutrition can provide. Right on. Keep that in mind. Be skeptic when skeptical or skeptic. Be skeptical when someone talks about superfoods or a super supplement that'll change your health outcomes or change your life drastically. Typically, if you look at the science, it is a whole dietary pattern over long term that's going to impact your health and not a specific food that you add and or remove from your diet. So keep that in mind. Let me know in the comments if that makes sense. Let me know if you have any suggestions of videos. Let me know if there's any superfoods that you eat daily. Now, In terms of superfoods that I eat daily, I definitely have flaxseed every single day. It's been shown to lower blood pressure. I try to add spices like turmeric and cinnamon. It's a potent antioxidant content that you can put in your food with low calorie density. I make sure to eat soy products every day because they are protective against hormone dependent cancers. And I make sure to eat whole grains and legumes, either through tofu, tempeh, soy, or through beans, chickpeas, and lentils. Those are the real superfoods. I know it's not as sexy as the tropical acai berry that is picked off the mountains of Peru, but the science points towards the unsexy bean as being one of the healthiest foods on the planet. So eat more beans. Don't worry about exotic fruit that has been harvested from the mountains of, I don't know any mountains. Anyways, you get the point. Right on. Cool. Yeah, have a good day. Peace.